right, hey, welcome to Unsuck Your Communication, our series about communication, of course, and how too often we don't really do it very well. So let's start off this thing by just asking, what is communication? What are we even talking about here?
Yeah.
What is this thing that we feel like we do all the time, but doesn't really work well all the time?
Right. And I think that what has been interesting about this is the realization that so few of us, though trying to transmit information, aren't actually communicating.
Yeah.
And so we have a couple of questions we started with in the proximity meeting. What is communication and why do we communicate?
Yeah. I mean, these are the foundation. If you don't understand what something is and why you have it, what are your chances of using that properly or doing that well?
Right.
Probably pretty slim. So we just need to start there. What is communication? And we feel that it is not just a connection with those around you, but it's really, well, think about it this way. We often think about communication as information, right? So we're going to put some, I'm going to put some information on my conveyor belt here, and I'm going to roll it over to Andy. And then once he has received that communication, well, we've communicated, right? Maybe not. Maybe not. Because what if he receives that package of information that I sent him, but he still thinks completely differently than I do about it? Have we actually communicated? So we believe that communication is really more about finding a mutual understanding about a topic or about a piece of information. It's when another person's mind comes to be in the same place as the mind, as the person who communicated that.
Right. And we were saying that your intention of what you're trying to communicate, when it is received in the way that you tried to communicate that, is only when communication happens. Yeah. And I love the question of why do you communicate, because I think that what we came to is this understanding that we're trying to make that connection. And so the what and the why of communication are tied together, and I don't think you can separate those, because whether I'm trying to communicate to Daryl with a look, some sort of gesture, or a written communication, in order for communication to actually happen, he has to receive it in the way that I intended it to be received.
Right. That's right. That's right. I have to gain a new understanding of what Andy intended, not just what I received from it, but what he intended when he sent that. And if I don't get that, then we didn't really communicate. I was just affected by something that I experienced. But I think it's a stretch to call that communication.
Right. So. And I think, so ask yourself this question, how often are you actually communicating in your relationships, in your job, in the emails that you send on a daily basis, and how do we do better at actually communicating that information that you want to be received by the other person in the way that you intended it? Right. And that's what this whole series is about, is because we do that and we suck at it. And so to unsuck it, we have to understand what it is that we're actually doing first.
Absolutely. So I want to take just a couple minutes to talk about how personal communication is. And it's because of this why aspect. Communication is always, the purpose of it is always to make a connection with another person. And I think sometimes we miss that. And I can speak to that from the kind of the professional field of communication when we create videos, websites, print products, you name it. We send out emails, whatever it might be. We tend to forget that what we're really trying to do here is connect with a person, not connect with a consumer, not connect with a paying member or a subscriber
or a generation.
Like, we're trying to connect with an individual human person with a personality and the whole bit. We need to think of them like we're trying to connect with someone who's just like one of our best friends.
Right.
Every time we communicate something, that's what we're doing. And I think that's so important to consider.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling if we did that more, it would keep in check how we use communication.
Yeah.
Sometimes we use it a little bit forcefully and
Mm-hmm.
Manipulatively.
Yeah, and not surprisingly, it doesn't go well. But I think when you're actually trying to communicate, you're validating that other person as a human with emotions, with intelligence, with a real desire to also hopes and dreams and goals and giftings and strengths that that you want that person to feel, and so it matters how we communicate.
So good. That's so good. So remember that communication is getting someone else to share the same kind of thought, the same kind of understanding that you currently have. Mm-hmm. And not until that happens have you actually communicated. And the whole purpose of your communication is to make a real connection with another person.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be breaking down. We're going to look at the 4 universal principles of effective communication next, and these are going to kind of become the bones
Mm-hmm.
of how we can do this better.
All right. We'll see you in the next video.